Of the films that you have made, which one taught you the greatest lesson, and what was that lesson? Maybe it was an accidental lesson.
Yeah. Well,
by chance.
We've, you know, Christine and I have done a lot of work together, but we've only made 3 films, and I think our films are they're sort of special in a way because they take a long time to make. They tend to probably maybe have a higher profile than some of the television shows we've done or commercials we've done or things like that, other projects we've done. So I think within our 3 films, I mean, they're all very different. They're like our 3 kids. I mean, they're very different from each other. I think they've all taught us lessons. I think Wordplay really taught us that we could do this, you know, that we found a story that was interesting to us. That story also had a really big built-in passionate audience. Will Shortz has millions of fans around the world. We knew that about him. So in a way, that was, the odds were stacked in our favor, I think, when we started making that film. It hadn't been done before, and we found an audience. So that was great, and that gave us a lot of confidence. I think with IOUSA, which was our second film, which also premiered at Sundance, that was in 2008, it's just a very different film. It was a movie about economics. It was a nonpartisan look at the national debt. I think with that film, I just had a natural curiosity. You know, economics and finance and politics are all things that I'm interested in. I'm certainly not an expert in those areas, but I got a chance to speak to really some of the greatest minds of our time about economics and about the federal government and it's the way it uses the national debt. And I mean, I love that film. I really loved making it, and I loved sharing it with people. So that was sort of the key to that one. I think as far as If You Build It was almost like a back to the drawing board moment for us. It was so hard to make. It took longer to make that movie than our first 2 films combined. And it was a tricky story. I mean, the story was hard. There were 2 teachers and 10 students and a lot of people in this town. They were all really important to the story. That's hard to cut. I mean, that's hard to cut that together. With all of these films, you're telling a story that hasn't happened yet. So in the case of If You Build It, we spent one school year with these kids. How do you know who's going to be important at the end of the story when you start? You don't. So you got to shoot everybody. You got to do all their stories. You got to do all their backgrounds. And then as the year progresses, certain characters become more important, but you need footage from them at the beginning. It was hard. I mean, it was hard to do that film. But I think If You Build It kind of taught us that, you know, not to get too confident. Like, we don't have it all figured out. You know, it's challenging to make these, no matter how much experience you have, no matter how much good fortune you've had. And, you know, I think with If You Build It, even though it was really hard, I love this film. I mean, it really kind of had a very profound impact on Christine and I, because our 3 kids are in public schools. And we're always wondering, well, how do we, as parents, how do we make this school better than it already is? And a lot of what we learned in If You Build It, we've applied to our own school. I think I mentioned we started a kids film festival at our local grammar school. My oldest daughter, Fiona, and I decided, why don't we do a film festival? We started it last year. We just had the second one recently. That was a great way to do something with the kids that sort of speaks to the community. I mean, there's a lot of filmmakers that live in LA and live in our neighborhood. So their kids got to make movies like their parents do. and the kids love it. You know, the kids make the movies themselves, and then we show them all at, you know, in the auditorium. It's great. So I mean, every film is different. It's you know, it's you get a little exhausted while you're making it, and then you release the film and you share it with others, and then eventually you get to a point where you start to get hungry again and you want to dive back in.